In this video, I'll try to explain how to come up with a strategy to prepare for the MA Economics entrance exams like those conducted by ISI, DAC, IGIDR, etc. I'll also give you the resources you need to prepare for these exams on your own. Now, a little bit of background about myself. I'm a mechanical engineer, and after preparing for about 9 to 10 months, I got selected for the ISI MSQE course. Now, for me, it started with this amazing playlist on YouTube called Economics, obviously, by the channel Crash Course. So, if you're short on motivation, try looking at this playlist. I won't say it's a short playlist, but it's a nice playlist. And after going through this, I read this book by Varian, which I'm sure you've all heard of, and a few chapters of these, and I was committed to economics. And it took me about 9 to 10 months, but I would say it can take you anywhere from 6 to 24 months, depending on where you start from. So, if you're really good at your basics and you are from an economics background, I would give you about 6 to 8 months of preparation, and this should suffice. Right, so this is for the people who are from eco background and are clear with their basics in math and economics. Now let's start with a strategy for the entrance exam. But to come up with a plan before you start, I would suggest that you have a good look at the MSQE syllabus and then at the past year papers as well. So the MSQE syllabus and the past year papers of both ISI and DAC. So you need to go through these thoroughly. And by thoroughly, I mean like really thoroughly. It might even take you a week or so to do it, but you need to go through them rigorously to understand what kind of questions are asked and what is the syllabus exactly. So for the ISI exam, they would obviously ask you questions from the syllabus mentioned in their brochure, which keeps on changing, by the way. So the syllabus that was for 5 years ago won't be the same that you would be appearing for. But the DAC guys, they don't give you any syllabus. So you need to be really thorough with the past year papers, and you need to make notes as to what topics are asked and what the difficulty level is. Even if you're from a non-economics background, just put all the eco questions under one umbrella. So I was personally a bit weak at macro, but I realized that to clear ISI, if time doesn't allow it, I can probably be fine focusing only on ISLM and the solo model. So these kind of insights would be different for every person, and they can only be gained by going through the past years over and over again. So now that you know the syllabus, make a master plan. This master plan would usually have 5 or 6 points. So you'll have micro, you'll have macro, the two parts of economics. Then you'll have probability and statistics. After that, you'll have some math. And then you have econometrics. So econometrics, the ISI people are not really a fan of this. I mean, they are, but they don't really ask you in the entrance exam. So this is exclusively for DAC and other exams, like IGIDR even has some questions on it. And then the final part, which I personally feel like a lot of people miss, and that's the revision part. So a lot of people underestimate the importance of revision, and at the same time they underestimate the time that would be required for revision. So don't make that mistake. Once you have these 6 parts, you need to allot them in the calendar. So let's say in this final month is your ISI exam, right? So you started let's say 8 months before this exam. So you had 7 or 8 months before it. So just start allotting time to each and every topic. So maybe you've put in 1.5 month for micro and macro each, and maybe you can do probability in a month. Then you cover up some of the topics that are not from your +2 level maths in a month or so, and econometrics would also take you about a month. And I'd say put aside 2 months for revision, at least 1.5 months for revision. So this is your master plan now. Once you have this master plan, you don't really have to follow it like it's the end of the world. You'll have to course correct from time and time again. So you'll have to course correct. By course correct, I mean that it might just happen that you are able to finish micro in a month only, and it might happen that you're able to finish macro in 2 months. So as you go along your preparation journey, you'll have to keep changing this plan, but you must always have this. So I'll start the discussion keeping the MSQE exam in my mind. The good thing about MSQE over DAC or IGIDR is that ISI provides you with a detailed syllabus and they always stick to it. So I'll advise you to stick to it as well, the way Rose stuck to that board in Titanic. You need to let go of the other interesting jacks to stay afloat throughout your preparation journey. Stay focused on that syllabus. So now let me talk a little bit about these 5 subjects that we have here. So probability and statistics is something that is totally independent of everything else. Right, so this chunk of preparation is, you could do this anytime that you want. But I'd say start with this. It's a bit tricky. It's a bit, you need to think about it a lot. So the solutions would be like a one-word answer, but you would have to think about them. Okay, so begin with the very, very basics of it, like read PNC from NCERT and get to know how permutations and combinations work. Like, let me give you an example. Say you want to make a pizza and you have 3 choices of bread for the base, and let's say you have 5 choices for the toppings. So in how many ways can you make a pizza with 1 bread and 1 topping? So obviously the answer is 15, because 3 times 5 is 15. Now what you need to understand is that you just don't need to learn the rules, right? So this is called the multiplication rule. You don't need to just understand the rules, you also need to understand their failure points. So when would the multiplication rule fail? This is what you need to think about. All through your preparation, you almost always think about when would the particular theory fail. So in this case, let's say one of the breads were not allowed a particular topping on top of them. So in that case, you could not just simply do 3 into 5 minus 1 or something like that. So it would completely fail. The multiplication rule does not work in that case. And you must know, if something does not work, what would in that case. So most of the questions would be that in that manner, right? So obviously the examiner knows that everybody would know the multiplication rule. So the examiner would try to tweak the question in such a way that some part of it would fail, some part of multiplication rule might fail, and that's where the real test of understanding is. So all through your preparation, I would suggest that you stick with the failures and obsess with them. Obsess over your failures, obsess over the cases where the standard theories fail. Obsess over them like you obsessed over your crush in high school, right? So probability and statistics is a very important part. It has a weightage of about 25% in the PE exam of ISI. So don't even think about neglecting this, right? So somewhere around 30 to 60 days is ideal for this. And once you're done with this, I'd say move to math. Now math has two basic ways to split it, and one of them is calculus and optimization, and the other one is, I just call it miscellaneous. So the reason why I'm splitting them in two is because this part here is a prerequisite for micro. So until unless you're very thorough with calculus and optimization principles, you should not move on to micro. The rest of this, topics like convexity, even this would be helpful in micro. But things like APGP, sequence series, these might not be that useful in micro or macro for that matter. But calculus and optimization, they are absolutely essential before starting micro. Okay, so make sure that you have the basics clear and even the advanced topics in this. You must know why multivariable optimization works. You must know why a line has a negative slope. Like, what does it even mean to have a negative slope for a line? So the minutest details, which may not be asked directly in the exam, but you must know them so that you could attend the questions for micro. Okay, so read the NCERT books, go through the lectures on Khan Academy. So Salman Bhai is very good at making you understand the basics, right? So when you're done with them, then move on to a higher level, use some IIT JEE books, or you could go through the channel of an academy. That's a very good channel. Okay, so don't worry, I'll provide resources in the description link below. So math is a prerequisite for micro. So once you have those basics in your hand, move over to micro. Now micro is one of the most interesting things that I find, and all through my preparation, micro was my favorite. So for micro, I'd say read a chapter from Varian. Okay, so divide micro in segments, right? So you have, let's say, consumer theory. So when you're starting consumer theory, start by reading a chapter from Varian. Like quickly read through it, and then reread it, obviously. And once you're done through micro, the chapter in Varian, then move on to the workbook. So Varian has a workbook as well, and there's a solution manual available as well. So once you're through the chapter in the theoretical book, move over to the workbook. Once you're done with the workbook, get back to Varian and keep going through the cycle unless you're done with the entire topic, like consumer theory. So there would be about 2 to 6 chapters for each topic, and once you're done with the entire topic, then you move over to Nicolson-Snyder. So Nicolson-Snyder is a bit more, I'd say, mathematical and a bit less intuitive, but it's essential for your ISI exam, right? Even some parts of DSE as well, but especially for ISI PEB, you have to have a very good understanding of Nicolson-Snyder. You must do the solved examples, and after the solved examples, you must do the back questions of the chapter. So micro is interesting in the way that you can connect it to the real world. Like everything you study, you can try to relate it to something around you. So let me give you an example here. Say I am Mr. Dilliwala, and I run a pharmaceutical company, and I've come up with the vaccine of COVID, and I'm the only person who has this. So that makes me a monopolist. Alright, so, and I also know that the people of this country, what is the price that the people of this country are willing to pay for? So the highest buyer is ready to give up 100,000 rupees for this. The next guy is willing to give up 99,000, and so on and so forth. So because I'm a monopolist, I know the market demand function, and this assumption here is usually given in textbooks, but initially it took me a while to understand as to why would this happen, as to why a monopolist knows the market demand function. So think about it. Okay, so I know what these people are gonna pay me, or what they are willing to pay me. So and there's a catch as well. The government has made it a rule that you cannot charge people differently. So everybody pays the same amount, right? So everyone pays the same amount. It's just like your everyday chemist. You go to buy a medicine, and it has an MRP on it. So nobody would charge you more than that MRP, right? So if I decide to sell it to only the first guy, I could gain 100,000, right? But if I decide to charge 99k, I could get 2 buyers, and that would give me 198k. So I would have 198k in revenue, and let's assume that the cost to make a vaccine is just 100 rupees. So 100 rupees per vaccine is my cost. So selling it only to the first person is profitable, but selling it to the second person reduces the market price, but is still profitable. So I still gain extra profit. So I still gain some profit by reducing the price, and so on and so forth. I would keep reducing the price, and more people would keep buying it, up to the point where reducing the price a little bit more would gain me an extra customer, obviously, but the overall price would go down. So the price increases initially, and then it starts to go down. The profit increases initially, and then it starts to go down, right? So I am interested in finding this price. As a monopolist, this is my job here, to figure out what price would I gain the maximum profit, would I maximize pie, right? So I don't really care about these people after this range, because that's how companies work. They want more and more profit. Not everybody, but most of them. So think about, whenever you study monopoly, come up with examples like these, and don't just stop at this particular scenario. You could think about, or think about, what if there's another market? What if we have another country willing to pay us money, right? So maybe USA, people in USA are willing to start from maybe 10,000, and why would this guy restrict itself to India only? Maybe if you have buyers from outside, I would sell everything to Mr. Dilliwala would sell everything to buyers from foreign countries, and my entire population, the people of my own country, might end up not getting it at all. So what can the government do to stop this, or to reduce the impact of this? So for micro, make sure you connect them to real world examples so that the concepts stick with you. Now coming over to macro, this was the fun part, right? So this is like a storybook or a novel, I'd say. So the first time you read macro, I'd suggest Blanchard to you, and I'd say finish it off in a few days, or maybe at max a week, right? So just go through it like you're reading a novel. Just go through it real quick. So the first time you would read it, nothing would make sense. It won't be fun, but it would give you an overall idea of what macro is all about. So it's interconnected, and you start with a very basic model, and then you keep on adding stuff to it, and adding stuff to it changes what you've already learned. So it's a bit confusing, and it's very much different from micro or math or probability. So to get a hang of macro, you'll have to read the book over and over again. So the first time you've read it, it's like a novel, but the next time you read it, it would make a lot more sense, and this time you should do the back end questions of the book. I think that almost all the chapters are required, but maybe you could skip a few topics in them. But once you're done with the book once more, you would understand most of it. And in case you don't, refer to some other book for the extra topics, right? And I would also like to emphasize on the extra focus boxes that you have in this book or in any other book. So these are like stories from the real world, not stories, actual facts from the real world. And some people tend to skip these. I would not suggest you to do this, because we had a question from it, like not directly from it, but the concept was explained in one of the focus boxes of Blanchard. So these are important, and they actually make macro fun. So macro, you'll have to read the textbooks over and over again. I read them 3 times, cover to cover, or maybe even 4 times. So you have to read them 3 times at least, I'd say. And finally, coming to econometrics, this is the easiest to prepare because you just have this one book by Damodar Gujarati. You cover a few set chapters and you're done with it. You just do the back end questions, you have a solution manual for it, you do it then twice, I'd say that should be enough. And something that's problematic in econometrics is like when you move to the last few chapters, you'd have a lot of what do you say, models, or you'd have a lot of tests to check for something like heteroscedasticity, and those would get confusing. But there's no way out of it because DSE is very weird in this way. They asked a particular test this one time in 2017. So I don't know, best of luck to you on that matter. You could probably leave most of those, but make sure you're very thorough with concepts like autocorrelation and everything else that this book has to offer, right? So you could probably leave the very detailed out tests, but you should know the major basic concepts because they are also very important for IGIDR. I was asked a question on autocorrelation in IGIDR interview, so make sure you know those concepts real well. So I guess that's about it for these subjects. Now let's talk about revision. Let's say this was the first time you covered all your subjects, right? So it took you about, say, 6 months or so to cover everything. So this was the first time when you did everything, right? So by the time you're done with the last topic, you would have forgotten your first topic, like almost all of it, right? So the next time you study it, you would feel like you're starting from scratch, but that's obviously not exactly true. But it would still take you a lot of time. So round number 2 would probably take you maybe 2 months, because round number 2 is important in a way that you would have to redo everything. And by everything, I actually mean everything. So I read all the books and I did all the questions for each of the subjects. So I did everything once again, and it actually took me more than 2 months, I'd say, but it was totally worth it. And then when you do it the third time, this time it would take you a lot less. Like it might take you, I don't know, maybe about 15 days. And when you do it the fourth time, it should take you, round number 4 should take you about 2 to 3 days. So this is right before your exam. And your goal in the entire preparation should be to reach this point, right? So you should get so good at your subjects that you can revise all of them in 2 to 3 days, right? So the major, one of the major hurdles in these entrance exam is the sheer amount of syllabus that you have. So it's so huge that you tend to forget a lot of it. So revision is really, really important, because I know a few of my friends could not make through because they could not revise everything. They just forgot very simple basic aspects of these subjects in the entrance exam, or they were not very thorough with them because of the huge syllabus that we have. So you tend to forget most of it. That's where notes come into picture. Make proper notes every time you read a subject, especially the first time that you do them. I know that you feel like a rock star and you won't forget things, but you will. And by the time you're at this stage or this stage, it will take you a lot of time to revise stuff, and that would be really demotivating. So making notes is essential. If you're not in the habit of it, I don't know, get to it. Now, as for the past year papers, some people tend to leave them to be done after stage 1, but I would not recommend you that. I would say that every time you finish one of these 5 subjects, pick up the past papers and solve everything from this particular subject. And try not to look at the solutions right away, particularly for the ISI PEB papers. Right? So in some ways, your brain is just like any other muscle. Actually working it out would help, and not just watching YouTube tutorials on the internet. So I've always been against rote learning, but by the time you sit for these entrance exams, like by the time you're on stage 4, you should probably remember all the questions. Like not remember the exact answers to those, but you should remember how to solve them. Also, in case you're disciplined enough, I am sure that you can go without any coaching institute. But if you can easily afford them, I would suggest you that you should probably join some coaching institute, or just join a mock test series or even a WhatsApp group, right? Because these things would help you stay on the path, help you guide through your entire journey. And when you have low points, they would help you, stay focused. So you'll definitely have some low points throughout your preparation, even if you join a coaching center. That is, you won't feel like studying at all, and I think that's okay. I had one of those episodes wherein I didn't study at all for 2 months, but that's when I ended up making these linear algebra video series that you can find on my channel. So I would say that if you feel like taking a break, just take a break, but make sure it's a nice refreshing break, and not just mindless scrolling of memes or getting hooked on Instagram. So, and if nothing else works, watch the video that you would see now on the screen. You'll gain some perspective. So all the best to you, and make sure to check the description link below. It has all the resources that you need.